Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, mothers, fathers, sons and daughters, welcome to the Shake Hands Podcast. My guest here today, Ryan Sallis and his boy Eli. Ryan, how you doing today?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Thanks,
you got out work?
Oh yeah, a lot of running around.
And your boy Eli, you're still in high school, yeah?
Yep, doing pretty good. I'm a sophomore this year.
Eli's a sophomore at East High School. East High School is the school that your father went to. Tell me about your past in wrestling. I know that you come from, if you don't know the Sallis family, you probably haven't ever saw Waterloo Wrestling because you got a bunch of them. Your father was a coach and you got other friends as coaches. Tell me a little bit about your history as a wrestler and maybe some of the people in your family that wrestled.
Growing up in Waterloo, pretty much like you said, my father was on the coaching staff at East High for quite some time. So I was kind of raised, if you will, in the sport itself, going with my dad to tournaments. Both me and my brothers, even though both my other brothers turned out to be basketball players, I was the only Sallis out of my dad's group that stuck with it. All my uncles on my dad and my mom's side, they both wrestled. My mom's from Cresco. Other than that, for the most part...
Was Kirk Sallis related to you?
Kirk Sallis is my uncle, yes. Okay. He was the state champ. Darnell Sallis was the state champ. Yeah, the list goes on and on. I know I'm forgetting quite a few of them, but like I said, every Sallis has wrestled at least once or twice.
And you wrestled in high school. Did you do any wrestling after that or pursue anything or want to wrestle after that? Or?
Yeah. I went up to, I wrestled for Millboy, Coach Jim Miller up there at Wartburg for a couple years, and some life-changing events happened, especially with 9/11. It just really struck home, so I put my college career on hold and joined the service and did a couple stints overseas and came back and tried to pick up the pieces.
Thank you for your service, obviously.
No
I mean, that's respectful right there. So now you wrestled at East Waterloo, and now you got a son, Eli, and Eli's following in your footsteps, and he's wrestling in East Waterloo. Now, is that the weight you wrestle? What weight are you wrestling in, Eli?
This year I plan on wrestling about 152, maybe push it to get to 45.
What about you? Is that your weight class?
My last year at Wartburg, I was 149. Solid muscle.
Solid muscle.
Definitely different builds between me and him. I can definitely say this is his work ethic is second to none. So maybe he just packed a little more muscle on sooner than Dad.
So your dad was a coach at East High, and you actually coached at East High some. When did your dad get you into wrestling?
I begged for the first 2 or 3 years, if I remember, and I want to say I was 6, and he threw me in a tournament that was 10 and under, and I lasted 30 seconds all 3 matches combined, and I quit. And I came back that next year, and then pretty much after that, I joined the House of Pain Wrestling Club with Johnny Galloway, and he kind of kept me going after that.
I still see Galloway around the way. Is he out in Nebraska now, or has he moved back to Iowa City?
No, he's still out there in Nebraska. He's a head coach. I can't remember the school off the top of my head, but it's Omaha is where he's at. So he's doing quite well.
And so now you're wrestling. What age did you start wrestling?
That I don't really know. It kind of bobbled between back and forth. I mean, my dad was obviously the coach at East High, so I kind of went up there with him just like he did with his dad. So I think I started around 2nd grade, and it was actually with the Bunger Wolves for a year. And then that's when I kind of started going back to East High because my dad started to open up the Future Trojan Wrestling Club. So like the core ones were me, Caden Herman, and then so he opened that up and I kind of went in there and more guys came in, and that's where all my wrestling career started, I guess.
So Future Trojans, how long have they been around?
They've been around. The late Willie Gatson actually started that when he was at East. Kind of how that unfolded, if you will, as far as there was a completely, I guess you could say, untouched market, if you will, on the East Waterloo side. Just a lot of kids in general in the Waterloo area didn't have the resources, if you would wanted to wrestle. So Evansville had a good thing going on. That's when me and Coach Gatson kind of put a plan together, and that's when I felt it was best if I would step aside and try to touch those kids and start bringing some more kids into East that actually have the fundamentals, not just wet behind the ears kind of deal. It's like, no, we know what we're doing. It's business. You come in as a freshman, you want a state title. You want more. You want a national title. You're just not, going through the process, if you will, and smoking and joking around kind of deal.
So it sounds like about 8 years at the Future Trojans, give or take a couple years with building years there. You kind of been...
Oh yeah. The first 2 years, I can honestly say, were pretty rough. I remember going to tournaments, people taking our gear and throwing them under the bleachers, and I want to say it was year 4, we won Super Pee Wee State, and we kept that core group together and kind of started building off of them. And I can honestly say Eli, my son, and Caden Herman are like the first kids that truly started from a young age, went all the way through. We've had other kids there. Tyrell Gordon, he started 7th and 8th grade. Anthony Watson introduced him, another club coach. Quaylen Phillips, he was one that Willie Gatson, he was kind of the last kid that Gatson was able to, you know, put hands on and really work with per se. But we put some notable kids out there, and they represent our club and community quite well, and we hope to further that.
For those of you who don't know, when he talks about Willie Gaskin, yes, that is the father to Kyvan Gaskin, the man who just wanted ice cream after he won his national title a couple years back. Willie passed away from cancer. He was a coach at East High, and I know he is beloved there. I work at East High, and to this day, people still have much respect for him and his stories of him and what he's done for kids. It still goes on. So now that you got the future Trojans, you got them coming into high school. Do you got any other future Trojans coming up into high school this year besides Caden and him? I know you're kind of working with the Wolves a little bit over there in Evansdale because a lot of those kids are going to East High as well.
We're actually doing quite a bit now with the Evansdale Wolves. When it comes to future Trojan side, we kind of got a dull, if you will, as far as the 8th grade portion. We have 6th and 7th graders, not too many 8th graders. We have one, Little Henderson, he'll be coming up. Once he buckles down, he's going to be okay. But as far as with the Wolves, they put in 3 freshmen that's going to be in there this year. They're going to be solid once they kind of get seasoned, if you know what I mean. And that was the big portion there between future Trojan and Wolves, us starting to work together. We're starting to open up more and hit more tournaments together as a whole. Yeah. So they can kind of expose them. This is what else is out there on both ends.
I've definitely seen that. You're working with the Wolves, your kids are in high school. What grade are you in now, Eli?
I'm going to be a sophomore this year.
Sophomore, all right. And you went to districts last year. How did you do there?
Districts didn't go as planned. We ended up bumping up a weight class just because we thought we had a better chance of making it out. So first round I won, second round I lost to a pretty tough kid, Caden Langrick, as some of you guys know. Then I wrestled Christian Simpson from Cedar Falls. He beat me earlier in the year by like 6, I think. But the district's match to get my wrestle back, I lost by 1 point. So it was kind of heartbreaking. I mean,
so you set goals for this year, I suspect.
Oh yeah.
What are those goals?
Well, first off is to make the state, and then after that, hopefully my ultimate goal is to win a state title this year.
All right. And him being your son, have you helped him try that, or have you just kind of encouraged his goals? Have you helped him to foster and develop those goals and chase after them?
When it comes to me, as far as coaching him, I'm always here to answer questions, but I want him coachable, meaning coachable when I say that. You know, there's a lot of guys, even when I was at Wartburg Wrestling, that through their training, they're so micromanaged when they get a chance to go by themselves and really commit to their own regiment per se, whether it be school, a job, and practice, they can't quite function. So I'm letting him kind of do his own training as far as weights, diet, schoolwork. He does his own school schedule, but he also not messes around, but contacts crews with Immortal.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. In today's day and age, a lot of kids are wrestling at their home school clubs, and they're also hitting an elite club where they can maybe get some partners that they don't get to see at home all the time. Yeah. So he spoke about crews. How long have you been working out up there? That's at UNI?
Yeah, I've been working out with them. As soon as Elite kind of stepped away and Immortal came in the picture is kind of when I joined. It's probably about my 6th grade summer, 7th grade year. And they've really helped me like develop my wrestling skills both on and off the mat. Great people up there, great coaches.
Yeah, I heard they got some new mats going on up there.
Yeah, we haven't been able to practice. We didn't practice Monday, and hopefully we practice tomorrow. We're supposed to have practice tomorrow, but I was looking at some Instagram stories today, and
it doesn't look ready.
Yeah, it doesn't look that ready, but I'm hoping we get in tomorrow.
All right, you've been wrestling a long time. What's a favorite memory maybe you have of wrestling throughout the years? Maybe a tournament or something that stuck out in your mind that you remember that was pretty exciting for you, or just a funny memory possibly?
Probably
or an achievement?
Yeah.
Schoolboy duels.
Schoolboy duels.
Well, tell me about this. He's already laughing.
We could talk. So my first year of schoolboy duels, I was a young buck. This is when I was I was debating whether I still want to wrestle or not. So first year schoolboy, didn't have anybody in my bracket at state at 140. It was the weight class was 144 at the time, and so
you had one.
No, we didn't.
No.
Because I wrestled Jared Voss for exhibition, and that lasted like a minute and a half. But so
Jared Voss from West Delaware.
Yep.
Oh,
hammer.
He was nice.
He's all right.
He was nice to
nice to me.
Thank you, boss.
But 144, went out to schoolboy duels. Started off good, won my first match with a pretty ugly lat drop, and then I ran a power half. Freestyle, obviously. And then, no, it was Greco, and then lost every other match that whole week. 4 very long days. I
think he was 1-17.
No, it was like 1-14. It wasn't that much.
There's 8 duels.
It was one.
There's 8 duels, so you got 4 full side, 4 backside, so that's 8. So add another 8 for 2 days, 16. Correct me if I'm wrong.
1-15.
That new math, you might have to use the Common Core math. We might have to get some lines and dots out here.
So I went 1-15, and that was I kind of went in shutdown mode for a while. But at the same time, it really gave me a wake up call. So at the same time, even though I went 1-15, it kind of strived me to like become a better me. Like I didn't want to keep losing, keep going all these tournaments, going 0-2. But one turnaround point after schoolboy duels was probably about a month after. It's when we were about to go to the OP for someone's birthday party. I don't know if it was my aunt's or not, but we were going to the OP. I stepped on the scale. I weighed probably about 158, and I was like, Dad, I weigh 158. Like I thought I was pretty light. He's like, yeah, you look like it. Then I took that as like I'm looking fat, so I didn't like that. So that's when I kind of changed my diet around. I started watching a lot of videos on meal prepping, different training styles, so the same old wrestling, grit, didn't get so boring. So I kind of, like back then I think I was working out 4 times a day. Like I was really working out, and I really got down with my diet and my training. So I think I got down to like 130, but I was like 3% body fat. Like I had no fat in my diet. It was chicken, rice, ground turkey, rice, and eggs.
And I can vouch for that. He was working to the point where we actually took him out to CrossFit Kilo in Cedar Falls so he could see a dietitian as far as how much he should be taking because he was working out that much. He was actually running from here to his school in the mornings at the time when that's probably just over a mile.
With a rucksack.
Yeah, with his backpack, school books, but he definitely was very driven, and like I said, he has the resources and the people to back him as far as either myself, Cruz, or Memorial. Kyvan Gatson also plays a big role with him.
Very big role.
He reaches
Tyrell
out
and
those
Kyvan
guys.
both.
But yeah, he sets goals and he accomplishes them, and a lot of times you wouldn't even know it because he doesn't even tell you. He just keeps grinding with it.
That's really inspirational to be able to do that. So if you're out there right now and you got a little extra meat on your bones, you can get down there and make a difference.
Now, he was 130 from like 3rd grade all the way. He grew this way.
I don't know. I was probably about 140 from like my 3rd grade year to 6th grade year, and then I got up to like 160, and that's when I kind of brought it back down and kind of got addicted to dieting, if you will. And I mean, I dieted the wrong way, the right way, but the wrong way. But
Not enough calories.
yeah, saw my dietitian. We got meat put back on my bones. I came back with the same weight, but obviously more muscle than what I was before. But yeah, I'm still dieting to this day. Just depends on if I have to make weight for a tournament or I don't.
Now, when you go through that transformation like that, I know that your improvement level and the people that may have been beating you, is there anybody that was beating you that you've beaten that you can look at and go, wow, I really made a jump there. There was this guy that used to beat me and maybe you're beating him now, or has that ever happened where you've because you changed weights, maybe you didn't wrestle the same guys?
So that's the funny story actually. So about my 1st grade, 2nd grade year, I was about 130, and I wrestled guys like Chet Buss. Who else are some big
Who's a
guys?
heavyweight now.
Yeah, Chet Buss is a heavyweight now.
Riley Snell,
who's a heavyweight now.
Fleming,
Fleming,
220.
who's 220. I mean, so I wrestled all these big boys, and they just kept growing. And then I guess I didn't say I got smaller, but at the same time, I just didn't grow as much as they did. So that's kind of the drastic. When I was wrestling 138 last year, I think it's Fleming, right?
Eastman.
Eastman. He was wrestling 220. He made the state. Riley Snell, heavyweight, made the state. Chet Buss almost made the state, sadly.
So these are guys you wrestled and they're going to state.
Yeah,
so you know you're just a little bit behind them. You're on their tail.
5 weight.
So that was the same as
Five weight.
when we would go to these tournaments, we knew nobody because they were a completely different weight class. And if you look at a lot of their profiles, like on track, which we hate to do, but we do sometimes. Yeah, these kids say he was wrestling 140, and the year before these kids were like 112. So they're hitting growth spurts, catching him when he's kind of leveled off.
Kind of flatlined the past 2 years. I've been sticking around 140, 160, or not 140, 145, 160-ish. But definitely some tough guys came up from different weight classes. They obviously look fuller. And I kind of just stayed the same, which...
Well, I can vouch. I know that you look a lot different. I've seen you since you was a young guy, and you definitely improved physically as well as technically. You talk about the track wrestling and the way wrestling has changed and the technology coming into it. Now, do you ever look at track wrestling? I know that in high school, a lot of people don't tell their kids, they don't want their kids to look at track wrestling. But let's be honest, I mean, they got phones. They can look it up themselves. So if you don't teach them to be prepared if they're going to look it up, then they're going to be shocked and deer in the headlights when they see a guy who's won state titles or done really well. So do you look at that, and how does that play into you? Is it just something like, okay, it is what it is, or do you kind of plan around things?
So personally, my dad does a lot of my like bout number watch, and he don't tell me who I have, which I like. So he'll tell me my bout number. If he don't tell me, then I'll look it up myself. But as far as looking at guys' track and their credentials, I don't really care, because I'm going to go out there and wrestle the same way I always do. So it doesn't matter if they're first year or they're 3-time state champ. I'm going to go out there and try to wrestle to the best of my ability.
Now in college they got a brick. Would you like to see that instilled in high school?
That I would like to see, as long as like many people disagree with, but I like to see riding time. But then again, I don't want to see it because guys will just sit on top and not do anything. So I think riding time could be a pro and a con, but as well as the brick, I think the brick could be used in many situations that it could be used in, such as like state finals, or even just anywhere at state would be a huge help to many guys.
Yeah. What about you, Dad? How you feel about the brick, the riding time, any of those college rules you'd like to see instilled in high school?
Well, riding time, you know, I'm for. I mean, obviously, if you got 3 minutes of riding time and no back points, something's got to give. You know what I mean? That's a boring match. That's how we're going to get more kids in the sport. As far as we need to score points, we need to have offense going, we need to create some kind of action per se.
Do you think if they add the riding time that they're not going to call it, isn't stalling still being used, or do you think kids will try to ride and not try to turn?
Well,
to get that point?
it's easy to jump on sides, hip to hip kind of deal, or you know. There's so many ways. You and I both know. I could ride a guy out and look like I'm trying to turn him, but really
I
I'm
actually try to teach kids, look, short time.
Yeah, 20 seconds and stuff. But it's like kind of piggyback what Eli said. I see pros and cons, but the riding time, I think that'll take away from scoring on top per se. I'd love to see kids when they're on top turn in. You know, just don't hang out. Get the bonus points. You know, that's how team titles are won. Get the bonus points. You don't see guys from like Penn State. I know a lot of people are like, oh, Penn State. Well, they pin people. You know what I mean? They get on top and they grind it out. As far as the break, I've been on the USA scene for a while, and I got some good experiences as far as challenging calls and
Yellow card.
I've been yellow carded before because I challenge a challenge and break down in communication, so it could be good both ways. I think you need to be educated before you put the brick in play as far as why it is there. Don't take advantage of it. You know, throw it out there just for extra break for your guy. Kind of deal with that.
Good break. Yeah, I'm tired.
Yes.
Break out, coach.
Yep.
Challenging. Another one would be the out of bounds rules. I know they're changing that in high school. They've been going more towards the college version of out of bounds. They're not there yet. Do you like that they're going towards that, or do you think that it's just unnecessary?
I think it's going to create more action when you think about it. I mean, the sport is always trying to evolve to create that. Just simple fact. Back in my day, it was untie the shoelace, tie it back up kind of deal. Well, now tape it up. Let's get this match moving kind of deal. I'd love to see it. Like I said, that's how we're going to get kids more involved as far as creating action. Make these guys wrestle. Nobody likes, high five each other and just dance in a circle.
Now I see you got a little beard going on there, and they talked about in high school allowing kids to have possibly a thin mustache or beard as long as it's within a short distance where you can still see the skin underneath. Or do you like to make it where they're clean shaven?
From a medical standpoint, I know a lot of kids that would break out from shaving, and with the chemicals on the mat, things like that. I don't have a problem with it.
I agree. And matter of fact, I remember having kids going and looking for razors and finding one in the bottom of the trainer's box, and it was all rusty, but that's the only one you got. And if you're going to wrestle, you better go shave with it. And that was sketchy, to say the least. Now, what about the hairnet stuff? I know that there was a big thing not too long ago, last year, with a gentleman that was forced to cut his dreadlocks off. Do you like having the hairnet? Do you want the hairnet removed? Do you like the hair rule? What do you see with that? What is your stance?
The hair rule, as far as it's hair, I think it's going to bother. If you have long hair, it's going to bother you more than it's going to bother me because it's going to be in your face. If you can deal with it, I can deal with it. You know, do away with the headgear. I mean, all that good stuff. I think it's up to the person. As far as a hair nut, how many times have you seen them stop, readjust it, put it back on? I mean, you got to have the right gear per se for that to work. For the most part, how many kids do? How many times have you seen kids take it off, put it back on, and refit it, things like that? But if the kid has long hair, let them wrestle. They got a little stubbly right here, let them wrestle.
That's their choice, especially with the hair.
What about braces? You don't have braces yet. Have you had braces?
Braces? No.
No?
Luckily,
A lot of kids
I
have
won't
braces.
need
They make them wear a mouth guard now.
I mean,
That
it's
I can see.
metal in the mouth. Yeah, I would say wear a mouth guard. Even him, all it takes is one good chop.
I just chipped a
comes
tooth
on.
about 3 days ago.
Yeah.
That's a pretty common experience, chipping the tooth. So if you could go back, I also want to shoot a shout out. Ryan's dad was a wrestler and a wrestling coach. He was a wrestling coach over at East High as well, so he's following his dad's footsteps. Punchy Sallis. He retired from coaching. I want to give a shout out. He retired from coaching just 2 years ago, was it? 3 years ago?
From junior high, yes. He
3, I think.
Three.
He did high school for a long time, then he was junior high.
Yep, and then he stepped away from that, and now he just kind of follows his grandkids around.
He received an award, I believe, the year before last year at the Battle of Waterloo, didn't he?
Yep, it was through, actually, I don't know if that's public yet as far as with the Battle of Waterloo. I think that's still in the works, but as far as he got a Lifetime Achievement Award through the school with East High,
Okay, I knew there was something.
yeah, dedicated to him from his past wrestlers and things
I
like
give a
that.
shout out because he had a big part in helping me get to where I was in wrestling. So if you could go back, I'm going to ask you the same thing. If you could go back to younger you and look at Eli when maybe he was starting in 5th, 6th grade, what would you tell yourself?
I would just tell him just grind it out. I mean, because at first, like when I was doing my transformation, if you will, I mean, I didn't like it. I was doing it because he called me fat basically, and I just wanted to keep going. So.
Not in those words, I will go on record. I did not call you fat.
But-
I just said we got room to improve.
But once I started actually working out, eating healthy, I started to actually like it, and that's why I became like, dude, this is my thing. So I'll just tell myself, just try it out, because you know you're gonna like it. And I tell myself to this day, if I would have made jumps like I did my 7th to 8th grade year when I was in 4th grade, go 4th to 5th, 5th to 6th, I just would be a much better wrestler all around. But coulda, shoulda, woulda. I mean.
Aren't you young for your grade as well?
Yeah.
I think you were. I remember seeing that.
I mean,
before.
I'm not old, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I wrestle some kids, like, I don't know, not gonna name any names, but like a couple kids that I wrestle like 8th grade year that could be sophomores,
Yeah.
which I agree with it, don't agree with it. But I mean, if
Like
you,
USA, I don't mean to cut you off. He's a
Yeah.
first year cadet.
Yeah.
As a freshman. So, I mean, that'd be about where, because I was 8th grade when I wrestled. I was a cadet in 8th grade going into it and stuff. And same his little brother Kyler. If he chooses to do freestyle,
Yeah.
who knows with
My
him.
son's the same way. Yeah, there's
He'll
a
be
lot of
a
8th graders that are
8th
cadets,
yeah.
and that's more and more popular.
Yep.
Even to the point where a lot of people are holding back kids specifically just for
wrestling.
I won't say wrestling because wrestling is actually behind the curve on this because football and basketball have been doing it
Yeah.
for as long as I can remember, especially down south with football. There's kids in Iowa doing it. I mean, I personally, to each their own. It's your kid, you raising them, it's your choice. So it doesn't really matter. If anything, it should catch up in the long run anyway. I mean, obviously, short term it would help in most kids, but that's on each individual. Do you have any views on that, or?
My 8th grade year, I actually tried to get you to hold me back.
Usually the parents are wanting to hold the kids.
See, the thing is, Eli's too smart for his own.
Yeah,
life.
see, that's the thing.
Test scores weren't lying with him.
You got to drop the ball in the classroom. No,
Yeah.
do not drop the ball in
Yeah,
the classroom.
yeah.
I'm kidding.
I mean, it's one of those deals we joke around like, Kyler has a late birthday in July. So we started him at preschool where he should have, and he was testing right at standard level, state level, if you will. But from a parent standpoint, I'm watching my son, he was tired. You can just tell, I don't like using the word mature for that age, but I talked to other educators, both my parents being retired, I kind of asked them how would they feel if he just did another year of high school or preschool, what it could do for him. And the one thing I heard, nobody's ever regretted holding their child back for academics till they get it. And so Kyler did another year of preschool. and he's in all Excel classes now. And it was probably the best thing we could have done. Not even looking at the sports aspect of it,
Yeah.
just his social aspect, how he's able to communicate with his peers a lot better than that first year in preschool.
Conducts himself.
Yeah, he was just pretty immature.
And that actually happens a lot. I think schools sometimes will push kids along, and sometimes they're not ready. And schools are actually more hesitant to hold kids back with the No Child Left Behind Act. So sometimes I think there's some politics played in that. They could obviously play into how people are doing it. And then there's the sports aspect, absolutely. I mean, Texas is famous for doing it, the Texas Red Shirt for football, and Southern down in North Carolina, I know that it was a big common thing for basketball players to do it.
Yeah.
So, same question I asked him earlier. What would you tell young Ryan, maybe high school Ryan, looking back now, or junior high Ryan, what would you tell him?
You know, between me and Eli, we have completely different paths. Meaning with that said, you know, we joke around all the time. I'm like, you got to win your own titles. You got to create your own, what you may call legacy, if you will. There's so many Sallises out there, you know. There's only one Eli. Eli needs to make his own name for himself. So the one thing I had, and I still tell him to this day, you have like this much time to be a student athlete. You got this much time to work, get a job, party with your friends, do whatever you want. You have a small window that you need to take advantage. Yeah, take advantage of. But I can honestly say he has a lot more resources available to him as far as with the college here. Just the relationships he built with other wrestlers that he can go train at this place whenever he wants or here, or, you know.
Go out to Kilo.
Yeah, just things like that. Like I said, it's like, so whatever he gets out of wrestling, I mean, the work ethic's there. It's going to carry over to school, which obviously it has, a job, just life in general. You know, it helped me through my military career.
Life skills.
So yeah, this much time to be a student athlete. Take advantage of it. Leave it all out there.
I 100% agree with that. So another question I would have is, you being a coach, I've been a coach, I know what it's about, and you look back on your first couple years of coaching and think, man, you know what, I wish I would have done this different. Maybe as a father of a wrestler, is there anything coaching him through his years that maybe you look back and think, you know what, maybe I should have pushed more, pushed less, said this, not said this, went here, didn't go here? Is there anything like that you wish would have been different with his career, or that maybe you are taking advantage of with Kyler?
Well, between Kyler and Eli, two different personalities,
Yeah.
100% if you know Kai. When it comes to Eli, you know, his first part of his life, I was going overseas. So when I left, he was crawling. I came home, he was already walking and talking, if you will. So it was a little person that I definitely had to get to, you know, connect with. He, as far as the coaching aspect with him, he was definitely a challenge because he was a bigger kid. So I can honestly say, and he was smiling, it's like, I didn't wrestle like a big guy. So I definitely had to reevaluate how I coached him. I would have been a little less, I don't think I would have been as hands-on with Eli.
I'll go after you. Just keep going.
No, it's so, you know, I yelled a lot, but it's one of those deals, if you look at where I was before that for the first couple of years, it's the military mindset. So if I tell you to do something, they're going to do it, and it's for a good reason. Don't ask why, I'm just telling you to do it. Trust me, trust the process. Eli had an excuse for everything. So it was instantly right here. Kyler, on the other hand, Kyler's one of those kids that, I mean, you can do this to him and he really doesn't crack that much. I mean, he's pretty strong-minded unless Big Brother's wrestling him. Big Brother can get him to crack pretty quick. But.
So you said you were going to go out, and what do you have to say on that?
Yeah, so I mean, the thing is, like, yeah, he was gone, but he still came back in and, like, did everything a normal dad would do. But I think it was just the fact that I wasn't used to his coaching style because I've been coached like, come on, buddy, you can do this, not
Soft.
Yeah.
Too many hugs and high fives are given.
Yeah, but I remember I used to hate going to wrestling practice. I just wanted to go to tournaments. But
That's insane.
yeah. But at the same time, it was every night I would have to do my push-ups. I would try to get out of them no matter what I do. My bedtime would be at 9:30. I'd be like, gosh, I made it. I'd be going to my room, and he'd be like, did you do your push-ups? I'm like, dang it, nope.
9:31, that light would come back on. Like, let's go, let's hit him.
So at that time, it was little chunky Eli. I couldn't really do a push-up, so it would just be a yell session. And so I would maybe do one out of my 20 I was supposed to hit, and then I would go to bed crying. And now all I hear is him yelling at.
But look at you now, you're in high school, you're a great wrestler. I mean, sometimes you got to go through the fire to get to the other side, you know.
Long time of fire.
It's trust the process. like I said, you're fine.
So the one thing before we go, we run near the end of our session. I wanted to notice that you don't have cauliflower and your father does. What's up with that?
I
Are you
do have
responsible?
cauliflower,
You do?
actually.
Where?
So I can vouch for it. So he actually, this
Oh,
was,
baby cauliflower. I see it.
no, they actually took it out.
Oh.
He
Yeah.
had about,
So
I
funny
would say
story.
Same side too.
Funny
Okay, go ahead.
story, yeah. So second year schoolboy, shout out to Tate McElmore. It was Greco camp. I think he clubbed me or went head inside something. And then we went back to the hotel, and I was just talking how I never wanted cauliflower. I don't want anything about it. And then Caleb Peterson was like, dude, you have cauliflower. I'm like, no, I don't. You're just saying that. So I go in the mirror, and sure enough, there was a big old tomato there. And then right after schoolboy duels,
Mom, she sounds pretty worried.
and then after schoolboy duels, I went to Ames camp, the team dresser camp, and as I'm at the dresser camp, I'm wrestling with no headgear, and so my ear just inflated completely, and Mrs. Joanna Ronavardi drained it, and then like a week later, I went to the actual doctor's office, and they took a whole blood clot out of my ear.
Wow. Hey, well, we'll finish on that note. Then I want to thank you. Got cauliflower. Now you need a state
Yep,
title.
we're good.
Thank you, Ryan Sallis.
yes, sir.
Thank you for shaking hands on the Shake Hand podcast. Take care.
Thank you.
She has no tire. She sounds really
What?
worried, like severe.
what's the matter?
Thanks, Dan.
Yep.
I'm gonna see what that's about real quick. I'll be right back.